this'll do. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Ah. That was a good one. Gnarly, man. Just been chucking bits of my neighbour's extension on it. Oh, look, it's me. God, what an idiot. Oh, great. How am I supposed to count all that? Well, that's me over there as well. In the past, or in the future of the past. A different dimension. What does that mean? What does it mean? Do you know what it means? I don't know what it means.
What of the wizard?
Huh? Nah, what? So yeah, basically I've just been travelling across time and space, across the vortex to my previous timelines, just, looking for something to do. Quite bored, do you know what I mean? And what have I missed? What could I make? Yeah, so I reckon this will do. We'll do like a massive Gondorian fortress in 10 mil, so technically it's quite small actually, but relatively speaking, it's all about relativity really, isn't it? So yeah, with trebuchets. I want huge trebuchets. Let's do that. So yeah, thanks. Bye.
First of all, I had to travel back in time to when I supported the Ivory City Kickstarter by The Print Goes Ever On. Then I printed long into the night, and longer still because it took ages, weeks. Now all before me printed, it was time to prep the prints and glue them together with super glue. By far the easiest and most satisfying part of this entire process, I thought. I had at first supported the Kickstarter with great gusto, then after printing 2 buildings realised it was massive, so these are scaled down to 39%. Then going forth and gluing, I was gluing a lot of stuff, gluing it, and I was filing it, and like I said, imagine this but 3 times the size. I know that Benji's Hobbies printed a quarter of it, and it was just enormous. So doing this in roughly a 10mm scale is, it's doable. And to be fair, I think it translates very nicely to 10mm. There's something about 10mm terrain that is incredibly satisfying, maybe even more satisfying than the tiny soldiers, maybe. Throughout this process, I was deciding how much of it I was going to glue together and how much I was going to leave unglued, because I want this to be portable and ultimately storable. Even at 10mm, this thing is pretty large. Look at that detail. I decided at this point that parts of the outer wall in 3s would be put together and the inner wall would be fully put together. Now I had to deal with these gaps, and I had some polyfiller, and polyfiller works nicely and it's cheap. I mean, this was really cheap because I found it in a cupboard and I used it. I also filled the gaps at the top and at the bottom and on the inside, and then I used a wet sponge to get rid of all the extra bits on the outside bit. What was once formless now had gained form. I must prime it, I thought. And there is only one way to make that interesting, known by mortal men. Play over some D&B beats. Coming down with the trench brown. I dried it with this hairdryer. No costume there, desert sands in my hair, not in my hair, but from above everywhere. Come on now. Rust-Oleum surface primer. Select I. Zenithal Prime for the win, yeah. Then I used the Baden Black, and Agrax Earthshade to do all the windows and the doors. And then there was a whole section to be painted, but I thought it was boring, so I lost it. Then in the great library of tools I found it. Long had it waited for a piece that was missing. A weapon reforged. The airbrush of Athanal, paladin. And it was time to airbrush with absolutely 0 problems. And so I decided that I was going to airbrush all of the roofs in this beautiful teal athematic blue, and it was a dream, to be fair. It was a dream of teal, whatever that is. But whatever it was, I was having it. Honestly, I've been waiting for this 0.015, I think that's right, needle to come since I did something to the last one, and it got bent or something, and it just started splatting out paint on stuff, which wasn't ideal. It was quite expensive, to be fair, but I think that's because it's so precise. Maybe too precise. Can something be too precise? Don't know. Anyway, I thinned down some Dragonhof Nightshade and started, doing the shady bits. It's very nice, very, very dark blue. And it starts just creating a bit of, like I said, shade. Just shade. Talk about painting is quite boring sometimes, to be fair. I mean, you can see what's happening, right? And here it all was, looking pretty nice. So it's time to do a bit of leopard spotting with the airbrush, and we're mixing these two greens together, and they're both contrast paints. Well, one's actually a shade, one's a contrast, but anyway, they work really nicely in the airbrush, and we're sort of building up all the green moss and stuff. Usually we do a brown as well, but there's already brown built into the zenithal priming stage, so that's nice and easy. And so like moss and I don't know, toxic waste. There's probably not a lot of toxic waste happening at this Gondorian border fortress town. I mean, who knows? Who knows what these guys are up to on the borders of Gondor? Could be up to no good. Right, anyway, we're going to use some Vallejo dark vehicle wash, and we use it through the airbrush, and it's super satisfying. When I was doing this process, I started thinking about what kind of town this is. I thought it would be really cool to be a sort of, not exactly a seaside town, but maybe on the estuary of the Anduin, and definitely some port trade going on. I want to make ships. I'm going to be honest. I want to make some ships at a certain point. So that's why I went with the blue roofs, a kind of ocean blue. Yeah. Look at that. Right, it was time for some dry brushing. I bloody love a bit of dry brushing, me. I'm going to mix these three together and make a light blue to dry brush over all of the roofs. Obviously, Gondorian buildings in Minas Tirith don't have this vibrant looking blue. When I was looking at the footage, it's more kind of brown, and then sometimes you'll have like a dark blue desaturated grey. But this blue just really pops. So now I wanted to dry brush all of the stone, and we're going to dry brush it up to a kind of warm white to make it, a little bit of that sort of Minas Tirith feel. But I also wanted to pop the roofs a little bit more. It started to look a bit desaturated now, which is okay. It's quite Lord of the Ringsy, but we'll get back to that in a bit, and I think we might pop it a bit more. So now, same again with a bigger dry brush for all of the stonework. This is by far the most satisfying bit, to be fair. It's just, really broad strokes, and yeah, look at that. Yeah, nice. It does a lot of work. So now this is the bit I wanted to pop things even more, so I got this Acathelian green, but it seems more blue than Athmatic blue, to be fair. And again, this is just creating a lot more contrast, but a lot more of a sort of darker blue, and a lot more saturation all at the same time, which is great. Yeah, I like this so much that, I started doing the corners and stuff like that, but then I thought I'm just gonna do this pretty much all over, but I sort of watered it down a little bit in certain areas. And if it started to pool, I would just absorb that with a brush. And then I use these Sharpies. I've got a gold one and a silver one. I've got a lot of paint pens. I'm getting into this. It's really good for terrain, even at 10mm. And it's just really quick and easy across the board. So I can do all the little details or the trimmings, especially on this gate, which I'm not going to glue on yet. I don't know if I'm going to do that. I might do it on later. And then using some Seraphim Sepia, which I've not used before. I did mix it with a little bit of Agrax as I went, and use this across the board to start adding back some grime and dirt, and again a little bit of detail in the brickwork. And then I felt the pull across the vortex.
Minas Tirith again. Wow, look at that. It's all kicking off over there, isn't it? Woo. Bro, this is so much better than guarding the toilets in the market.
Yeah, it's been 6 years now we've been guarding that toilet after the incident with the gaffer's pig.
Situation with the gaffer's pig. Do you know what? I can travel through time and space. I might go check that out, see what's going on. Do you know what I mean? It's probably quite funny. Oh, man. Oh, mate, that was nasty. Do you know what I mean? Like, why would you do that? I mean, Gaffer's not a nice man, like clearly from that backstory, but you can't unsee that. Do you know what I mean? Is that a war crime? It's definitely a crime. It's got to be a crime. Whatever it is, I I need a break. Like I just need to go to the abyss for a while, I think. Yeah.
Jesus. Right, okay. If you like 10mm minis and you want to get some for yourself, probably the best place to look is Wake's Emporium. You can go and check out his Patreon, which is probably the best place to get the best deal for your STL files, or you can check out his stuff on My Mini Factory. There's just so much. There we go. That's what I want. I'm getting that. Oh my god, look at that. Seriously. But yeah, check it out. The link's in my... These trebuchets printed out like a dream. I tested it in FDM, and to be honest, I really like the results, especially because they're so large, and it just saved a lot of messing around with resin, which I was out of at the time anyway. And then I primed these in brown. I'm not sponsored by Wake's Emporium, by the way, but he did share these files and a few other files for free. So thank you very much, Chris. I really appreciate it. I just want to kind of, I know I've been spotlighting Wake's Emporium a lot in my videos, but I just really like what he does. And these are all designed by himself, and I just think it's really awesome, and we should support creators like that. And you can, as I say, go and check it out on his Patreon. It's awesome. So here, I haven't spoken much about what I'm doing here because it's a pretty standard approach, except using the Sharpies for the metal bits, working up from a brown with various beiges and warm whites, then mixing an Agrax Earthshade and sepia to kind of get a kind of bit of contrast on there, and then building up the white on the base to kind of look like the walls. Chris from Wake's Emporium also very kindly shared with me the siege crews and some militia. I wanted a decent group of militia and the siege crews, and I wanted them as singles because basically this whole fortress is scaled down to 39%, but it doesn't fit the sort of 10mm bases very well because it was designed for singular 28mm minis. So I kind of wanted to roll with that and have these, maybe represent a whole unit, or maybe do a miniature version of MESBG or something like that. I thought it was quite cool, and they just look really cool. Again, here I'm just building up this kind of blue look so they look like they're part of this town. One of my Patreons, Dan, was saying it might be cool to have a sort of Battle for Middle-earth style RTS-like game, perhaps when you go into the siege part of whatever campaign you're working on, and each building generates a certain amount of units per turn, or maybe you could have a resource system. And I really, really, really liked that idea, and it's something that I definitely want to be trying with these. I'm not talking too much about the painting techniques here because I've covered them at length in the Gondorian video and all the other videos following, so if you want to go and look at those, you can see this in more detail. I did decide, however, to try something new and be brave with this Sharpie and do all the gold bits, and it actually worked really well, and it's very, very quick. The more I painted these, the more I loved the idea of having them as individual minis and playing, what do they call it, like mini hammer or something, tiny little versions, something. Look at that, I think having a fusion of the two systems, so playing War Master when you're doing the big battles outside and maybe for the main siege, and then perhaps when you zoom into the city having more skirmish style battle would be really, really awesome. So here I decided that I was going to use this Pyrexy Dry, which I haven't used in ages because, to be honest, it's a bit weird. But it sort of made the perfect look for these stony bases because they don't really have a stone texture on them. And then I did a bit of leopard spotting on it, and it did the trick. And yeah, I did have a go at highlighting their stupid little faces, but it was, it's a bit of a nightmare. You don't have to do that. And then I thought, got to put some resin in the fountains. I use UV resin because it's nice and quick, especially when you're doing only a tiny amount like this. And this little well, I think it's a well.
Welcome to the Vortex. This is a pocket dimension between pocket dimensions, and it's my sort of launching off point for travel amongst space and time. But mainly it's where I tell you what's going on with the channel. This week's been pretty challenging, to be fair. This whole room flooded, which wasn't ideal, to be fair. It's what happens when you mess with your own timeline and different dimensions and things like that. things happen. I accidentally summoned a demon one time in a dimension that caused some issues, to be fair. Also, it's been quite a busy month in general, just with like my day job and stuff like that, so it's been hard to get enough videos out, which is the excuse that I'm going with. But you know, it's not all floods and demons and locusts and all that kind of stuff. There's also some quite good stuff that's going to happen on the channel soon, including some exclusive brand new 10mm miniatures that I may or may not have access to, and I may or may not be able to mention. So forget that. One of the major aims on my channel is to be able to make more videos and to make the videos higher quality. And the one major way that I can do that is try and get to doing this full time. I'd love to do that. So other than watching these videos, liking, subscribing, commenting, that kind of thing, which really does help me, and I'm really grateful for that, is to go check out my Patreon and become a member there, as well as supporting me and the channel. It's not just all about me, right? You get access to an exclusive Discord, but also I've started doing monthly prize draws. This month I gave away this wizard's hat and I gave it to one of my Patreons called Sam. So here's a shout out for you, and I hope you're enjoying that. All you have to do to enter my prize draw is become a paid member, and that's it. You automatically get put in, and then it's randomly drawn from a hat / an app. To reveal the prize, we also sang a song, which is terrible. But it is quite funny, so maybe you just want to go check that out. It's just a way for me to give back to the people that help me actually do this thing. And on the subject of that, I'd like to thank all of these people, and that's a massive thank you from me, my family, and the channel. Without you guys, I couldn't get this done. So massive thank you. What is going on with that? That is gone. It's like a 90s school disco. What would be the music? Steps, probably. So, yeah, good. I might teleport now. Bye.
The fortress was known in the local tongue as Whitesail, a town on the mouth of the Anduin, guarding it from the black corsairs and those who might strike at the heart of man. Ships laid at harbour, ready to strike back at those who harbour ill will towards Gondor. It could defend from all sides trebuchets as tall as towers. Its garrison had stood for 100 generations, and will stand for 100 more.
This project was a lot of fun. It was hard to get done because there was a lot that conspired against it. Like I said earlier, my whole room flooded. My computer kept crashing when I was trying to edit this. Even right now, I can't even hear the music. Do you know what I mean? It's just one of them weeks. But seeing it back now, seeing it in all of its glory, it makes it worth it. And getting all the armies that I've made so far and putting them out on the tabletop. Do you know what I thought? I thought I haven't got enough. I need more armies. Anyway, I decided to set it up like a town. This is the good thing about having it modular, not built into a board, is I can use this in multiple games. You know, when I have actual games, I need to actually play some games. So I've got all this stuff, like I'm not playing any games. So that's going to be coming up soon. I've got to do a video about that for sure. Again, I can't say enough how much I love having the singles, so I can play maybe some smaller skirmish style games. I'm getting more and more into that idea, especially the RTS idea. Setting it up like a town kind of made it feel even more like that for me anyway. So yeah, it's been good. Yeah, it's been good hanging out and that. So yeah, yeah, probably straighten that. Oh, come on. That's the thing, I probably should have glued that. I just want to put a little man inside it. If it's glued, it's not going to work. Yeah, anyway, what was I going to say?